So let's just take a moment and looking back on what's been probably the most unprecedented NBA season of all time. I mean, this rookie class that's coming in 2020 has had to wait upon wait for their induction into the league. But that 2019 class, do you remember it? The excitement that we had about Zion, about Ja, about Tyler Herro, who was going to be the standouts. We've seen some incredible performances from that rookie class. And even though it feels like it was an eternity ago, there's some potential all-stars, some potential Hall of Famers, all wrapped up into what was a very special 2019 class.
Around this time last year, the draft class of 2019 would have been getting themselves locked in for the first year of their NBA careers, completely unaware of just how unusual their rookie season would turn out to be. For some, it'd be cut short in March after less than 70 games. For others, it'd end up in a trip to Disney World. Even so, this season's freshmen have had plenty of opportunity to make their impact on the league. Starting at the top of the draft, thanks to injuries and minutes restriction, it wasn't quite the debut season from anticipated number 1 pick Zion Williamson. However, over the 24 games he did play, he notched 540 points, putting him in the top 15 for regular season points by a rookie, and seeing him comfortably lead the New Bloods for points per game. That points average, by the way, is the second highest of all time over the first 24 games of a player's career, only bettered by Michael Jordan himself. Despite the record start for Zion, it was second pick Ja Morant who took home the Rookie of the Year award, nearly sweeping it with 99 out of 100 first place votes. And he did this for a reason. Ja led all rookies for regular season points and assists, accounting for roughly 5.5% of freshman field goals and 11.2% of their assists. Needless to say, he also set the Grizzlies franchise record for assists in a debut season. But it wasn't just the top 2 picks getting it done. With the benefit of hindsight, it probably is fair to say that Tyler Herro's 13th place selection considerably underrated him. He was undeniable in the playoffs, beating Manu Ginobili's record for points off the bench from a rookie in a postseason run. His 37 points in Game 4 against Boston smashed Dwayne Wade's rookie record for points in a single postseason game, and also saw him become the youngest player to drop 30 points off the bench in the playoffs. Looking at the rest of the top 15 picks, there's some notable names to pull out. 5th pick Darius Garland and 9th pick Rui Hachimura both instantly became staples for their teams, starting every game that they were available for. Garland even led his Cleveland side for assists. RJ Barrett, PJ Washington and DeAndre Hunter have also become guaranteed starters, whilst Cam Reddish, Kobe White and Jarrett Culver have been trusted with significant minutes. Elsewhere, we've seen big impacts from players further down the draft list. Brandon Clark joined his Memphis teammate Ja Morant in topping leaderboards, with the young Grizzly leading the rookies for regular season rebounds. And how about Eric Paschall, the 41st pick, whose 837 points for the Golden State Warriors secured him a spot on the 2019-2020 All-Rookie First Team. But making the draft isn't the only route to success in the NBA. This year, undrafted rookie Terrence Davis was the only Raptor to play every single one of Toronto's games, and whilst not technically the class of 2019, Kendrick Nunn, who went undrafted in 2018, has had a year we have to mention. He was the most prolific rookie in terms of shooting threes, the second most in terms of points, and came second in Rookie of the Year voting. In short, it's been a unique first-year experience for this season's rookies, with a number of players showing that they've got the minerals to be superstars in the near future. Whether they can keep up that trajectory, only time will tell.
Mo, this is why I love your features, because you take me straight back down memory lane, and all of those players that I have archives of and everything, you just trickle automatic memories of the league pass that I've just watched throughout the year. So credit to you, my bro. But it does feel like it was an absolute eternity that night in New York at the Barclays when these guys were walking across the stage. So I just want to ask you your opinion. You've had a chance to review it. Mo, how special do you reckon this draft class could actually be in the end?
Man, I feel like a lot of that largely depends on the health of Mr. Zion Williamson, because that's really, the headline of this draft class. He was the guy we were watching for years, waiting for him to be drafted last year. And if he can get healthy and turn into the superstar that we all expect, I think that ultimately elevates the profile of the entire draft class. And then, it also depends on other stuff like RJ Barrett maybe finding a different franchise that might develop his game a little bit better. I know Knicks fans are going to be mad at me, but, I'm really looking at guys like Tyler Herro that are breaking out. And I think there's a lot of promise in this draft class, especially from guys like Brandon Clark and a lot of the guys that the Hawks picked up. I feel like the Hawks are a team that people are often forgetting about. And in about 3-4 years, they're really going to be making them names for themselves with, guys like Cam Reddish and Hunter on that roster. I feel like there's a lot to be optimistic about looking at the guys who came out of the 2019 draft.
BJ, I'm going to do something that I hate when people in the media do it, but I'm going to do it. And we're going to compare eras, even though they've only had a year in the NBA. And it's difficult to look at potential because, as Mo just said, look, there's a lot of factors and a lot of years that still need to weigh up before we can give an accurate judgment. But most people in the NBA say the best eras in terms of draft class was either 84 or '03. You look back on those names, we could go through the names, the Jordans, the Melos, the Wades, the Hakeems. You know how it is. We're talking about the eras, the two greatest eras in terms of draft class.
Sure.
I look at that 19th depth. I look at some of the breakouts I've seen from Tyler Herro, the attention that Zion created, how Jar's creating his own lane. Even Brandon Clark is looking like a very, very good NBA body. I just want to understand from your side, your perspective, how much potential does this sort of class have in comparison to those classes beforehand?
Well, you know, the interesting thing about comparing the classes is the following. There was a mindset back when, you know, I was coming into the league that when you were a young player, you weren't expected to play. There was no way that you were going to play the amount of minutes that you're seeing these young men play that you're seeing today back in that era. When you came into the league, there was a 2 or 3 year window where you were expected to really sit and learn how to be a professional before you were thrown out there. Without question, head coaches did not play, you know, rookie players. You know, I was never called BJ my first 2 years in the league. I don't even think Phil Jackson knew my name my first year or two in the NBA. You know, I was just like a guy that was sitting on the bench. But then you're expected to earn your stripes in the NBA. So that was a different mindset. Now, today, you're seeing Tyler Herro. You're seeing Ja Morant. You're seeing these players be allowed to do something that, frankly, we didn't have a chance to do, was to play through our mistakes when we were a young player. It's not to say it was right or wrong. It's just a difference in mentality. You're seeing the developmental process in the NBA, which is very different of how you were played back then. When I came in the league, you know what? If I missed a shot or two, there was no way I was getting back in for a second run. So I had to come in, earn my stripes, learn how to play. But more importantly, there wasn't a huge expectation for you to play. And when a rookie did play, he was special. He was going to be a Michael Jordan. He was going to be a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was going to be a Larry Bird. And those guys were just Hall of Fame players that it was just the obvious. But overall, you know, I remember when I came in, Reggie Miller wasn't playing. He wasn't playing. And Reggie Miller was a Hall of Fame player. So, you know, that was the difference. And then I want to make another key point. When in that era, it was very common to have all-star players who weren't playing, that were sitting on the bench in the 80s and the early 90s. You may have an all-star player that was sitting on the bench in waiting. You know, there were John Starks was sitting on the bench. Reggie Miller, myself, were sitting there. Detlef Schrempf. You had so many players that were sitting just waiting to play and have an opportunity to play. Well, today, if you can play, they throw you out there. So I think these young guys are playing in an era that really benefits them, and they should take advantage of it.